Derek had sent in a letter on behalf of our optees for accessibility. So I don't know if it's in this portion or if it's in the next portion. But I'll step away from the table at that point.
Note that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And 3 o'clock, we have Michael Gregory Ray along with Alex Scott. To make a presentation regarding the ice management cost sharing study. No? Okay. I would invite you within the rail to make your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mayor Weber and members of council and Lambton Shore staff. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and bring this information to you. And basically, we're here to present the latest on the reports on ice management in Port Franks, and that being a report on options for cost sharing for any works that might be done. And we've talked for a number of years about the type of works that would be possible, and usually it becomes an issue when somebody has to pay for it and how that's going to all fit together. So this report deals with that. And just as a quick reminder, the report really follows on back in 2011, Council sort of started looking again at ice management in Port Franks, and one of the first things was to take a report that had been sort of finalized in 2010. It was really actually based on work done in 2007 and 2008, and they started off by looking at that and sort of updating, reviewing the alternatives that might be available, and actually updating some of the costs. And then the second part of that was to sort of wrestle with the cost-sharing issues what we've talked about. And so who I have with me here is Mike Gregory and Ray Tufgar, both from AECOM Engineering. And some of you may remember Ray Tufgar has been involved in a number of studies in the Port Franks area for over 10 or 12 years, a lot of them dealing with ice management, a lot of them also along the way we had the Bendway Weir project. And at that time, when he first started, it was actually Totten Sims and Quebec for the engineering company. And about 2008, that company got amalgamated with AECOM. So there's a bit of a link there. Mike Gregory is probably been most involved since about 2004, 2005. And at that time, we were looking at the Armstrong West Bendway Weir project. And that was sort of erosion protection for that section along the river. And Mike was the project manager for that and has continued on with more recent studies as well. So without any more ado, I'll introduce Ray Tufgar, who's going to go through the presentation, and Mike will assist him with that. And then at the end, we can entertain any questions that you might have. Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alec. And as Alec said, he and I have been working on various things within Port Franks and along the river system for a number of years now, so I thought I'd start the discussion for continuity. I recognize a few people on council that I've been in front of you before to talk about various issues that have been faced and different things that we can do. So, and as well, I've met with the public over the years, so I'm quite familiar with the concerns of the residents in Port Franks, especially those that live closest to the river system. So what we're focusing on today, and I thought I'd start, I've got the grayest hair, what's left of it, and then Mike will follow up because he's the one that's been doing most of the work on this. So within the Port Franks area and along the river system, over the years we have looked at various items, both upstream and downstream of Highway 21, and focusing on the river system, ice management, flood control, and so on and so forth. But there have been specific areas that we've focused in on that we will talk about as well. But the main concerns with regard to conditions along the river itself and along especially the residents that are in the river, or sorry, adjacent to it, and the boaters that use it as well. But flooding has been obviously one of the concerns over the years. Ice jamming and the potential for flooding as related to that is another concern. But as you all know, because I'm sure you've heard it, that boating is a concern as well. Recreational as well as related to recreational fishing and so on. They're having concerns about sediment buildup and the fluctuations of the lake. Within Lake Huron obviously affects conditions within the river system as well. So when we've done our work at various times, all of those conditions obviously we've been quite familiar with and have taken into account when we've been doing any sort of analysis works. As well, over the years there has been monitoring done, not only just the day-to-day or month-to-month monitoring that Alec has done on lake levels, but also monitoring of sediment levels within the river system, how that affects boating, how that affects flood potential, how that affects ice jamming. But there are other issues as well that we have to make sure that we're apprised of, and that's environmental conditions within the river system. And that's something that has changed over the years that I'm sure you're aware of, is that concerns about any sort of fish, mussel species conditions within the river system itself, we have to take into account when we're looking at these things. And that doesn't necessarily directly affect what we're talking about today, but it is something that has had impact on any sort of works that can be carried out within the river. The other as well is obviously economics, and that's something that has been part of what we look at from time to time with regard to specific concerns, is how affordable is anything that we're looking at. I mentioned lake levels, and in Lake Huron obviously affect what you can and can't do, and affect what you should be doing within the river system, deal with flooding problems, potential for ice jams, and so on. And you can see down here, this graph on the left shows maximum recorded lake levels, shows average lake levels, and it shows minimum recorded lake levels. You can see right now the blue line shows where we are today over the past few months as to what the lake levels have been. They're close to the minimum recorded, and actually we're below at one particular point, but right now we're just above minimum lake levels. And this obviously varies. Here's the recorded lake levels over the past few years. And it is cyclical, it does vary, and that obviously affects what we should be, shouldn't be, and could and can't do with regard to things like flood potential, especially related to ice jams. I mentioned some of the works that actually, physical works have been carried out besides ongoing dredging activities. The weirs were put in because of erosion problems along the shoreline. This was done back in 2006, and I'm happy to say it's working quite well. The shoreline was retreating here anywhere from 15 to 25 feet per year, but now it's fixed in place because of the weirs and the stone that's been put in place. And Alec has been monitoring that with his staff at the Conservation Authority over time, and it's working quite well, obviously. So that's resolved that issue, which is partly due to ice action, but partly due to flows as well. Now we're really focusing on ice management today, and the work that's been done and what's being presented to you. Mike will be going through the details on that. Is really what are the options or the preferred options with regard to ice management, and really to address the potential for flooding from ice management as well. And as you know, those of you who have seen the area during ice breakup and the potential for jams, it is real, it does occur. It's great when you have a constant sheet of ice over it, but when it starts to break up in the spring,